My name is Heather Feather. I am the owner of Rare Bird Medicine, and today's topic is God is a fag. This particular video is about a very sacred and holy, amazing experience that I had in a very dark hour. And so first I want to say something that my sister said to me that served me well in this life. There are two pieces I want to share. If you ever have suicidal ideation, if you struggle with chronic depression, if there is a part of you that dips into a frequency in which you want to exit this plane. One thing that she said to me that is a law that I follow is that you are welcome to think about suicide, but if you ever start to plan it, you need to call someone right away. And so that's a law that I followed since she said it to me. It's like, okay, I can think about it. I can think about wanting to exit. I can be depressed. I can dig into my depression. But if I start making a plan, I need to get a hold of somebody. And so I invite you to hold that same rule within your mantle, within your temple, because there are often many more in this realm than you might imagine that love you and that think of you and that are eager for you to remain a part of this realm for the duration that you as an entity had chosen to be in this realm. The second piece I want to share, as somebody who has struggled historically with chronic depression and suicidal ideation, there's a point at which I came to an understanding where I don't hold that mantle. I do get sad, I do get depressed, I have moments where, another person dies or I have to go through grief again or whatever that is. However, I don't really have suicidal ideation anymore. I'm actually more and more as I age really grateful finally to be alive, starting to find the value and the virtue of this existence that I've chosen. But the second piece is something someone once said to me that terrified me away from the idea of committing suicide. I'm like, whoa. And they said, I once read that if you commit suicide, there's certainly no punishment. Certainly spirit understands your suffering and your pain. However, you do not actually go to the other side. You immediately incarnate into a new body. And you'll continue to immediately incarnate into a new body until you can make it through a lifetime without exiting the life you've been graced with. And at that time, I want to say, in my late 30s, early 40s, and it was like, I want to come back and start at zero. And so it was around that period that it was like, I'm not doing suicidal ideation. I'm not really even going to do thoughts of suicide because I just decided that's it. I'm not starting back at zero. I've made it this far. I can make it through. Let me make it through. So there's certainly suicide hotlines you can call, and hopefully people in the river of your life you can connect with. And I highly recommend therapy. It is a great place to unpack what we're saying, what we're choosing, the path we're walking. It's less stigmatized as we continue to move forward because mental health is important, and we are the stewards and the gatekeepers of our own system regulation and mental health. And so that's up to us to bring our mental health into every room we walk into. I was dealing with severe depression and suicidal ideation. I was working for a transportation company, and I was having a very difficult time. I was dealing with a lot of type A personalities, and I mean type A personality entitled specifically, type A. And that's not my favorite. That's not my favorite bag to be associated with. It's entitlement. I believe all beings are shoulder to shoulder. There's none above and none beneath me. There never will be. And my job is to commune with the truth. And to commune with the truth means for Heather to be attentive to any place in which she's placing herself or others beneath, herself or others above, because we are shoulder to shoulder. We are kin. All of us, we all bleed blood, we all have bones, we'll all turn to ash or rot off the bone. And so I was working this job with these entitled people, and I was severely depressed, and I was having a very difficult time. And I was at work, and I was struggling, and I was telling God, if you do not prove yourself to me, if you do not prove to me that there is a God, if you do not prove that you exist this day, you have my word. You have and Spirit knows how devoted I am. I'm a very devoted being. You have my word, I will exit this plane tonight. I promise you that. I will exit this plane tonight. So I had been reading a library book, and I was sitting there holding the library book, and I just stopped and declared this in my inner voice. And as soon as I finished saying what I was saying, the library book slightly opened in my hand, and a sheet of paper fell to the ground. And I went to pick it up, and I turned it around, and it was 4 men in drag in front of a Baptist church, each one holding a sign, and the signs read, "God is a fag." And I laughed for the first time in quite some time, because I could not imagine, based on my matrix of being, which is that God is in everything, a more perfect message for me to remind me that not only is divinity part and parcel of the design, but the cosmic joke is eternally present in the paradigm. And let's have a laugh. Let's lighten this up a little bit, shall we? We are taking this dream, this Maya, this hologram, this illusory space, often in my experience based on my philosophy, very seriously. It's like such a serious affair to be alive, and oh my God, we got to fix this, this, and this before we die. And it's like, well, cool, love it, and you're gonna die. and after you die, you'll notice Earth School has always had those beings that are challenging. They come in every culture. They come in every gender identification. They come in every sexuality identification. It doesn't matter what a being's label is. There are those that are being unevolved, those that are being more false evidence appearing real, fear-based, those that are being more taking in their energy than giving. They're asking, gimme, 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 gimme. They're not going, what have I contributed to life today? There are those that are in abject lack of awareness states of the light of truth, of the love of their being. Doesn't make them not love, just means they're dissociated from the truth, in my perspective. And all of that has always been available at Earth School, no matter what you do with your 100 years or more or less or whatever it is you've got down here. That's always been available. Like that's what this dualistic realm offers, is shadow, fear-based teacher, the unevolved consciousness, the pressure that makes the diamond, if you will, the mud that causes the fragrant lotus blossom to bloom forth. There are those beings, and they come in every type of label you can imagine, every type of label. There's not a culture that doesn't hold them. There's not a gender that doesn't hold them. Every single label has some of those beings. And then also every single label has those beings that serve the light of truth, that serve the light of love, that serve their kin, their brethren, shoulder to shoulder, that serve humanity. And those beings have done their evolutionary work. They've likely had enough pressure in enough lifetimes to illuminate their inner diamond mind of the light of truth, that love is the most powerful thing in every multiverse, in every lifetime, in every culture. It is the greatest, most sacred liquid golden nectar, the amrit, if you will, that we can hold in the temple. And it is, in fact, as I often say, the only thing you take past the grave is relationship to self and others. Choose well. You're not going to take your baubles. You're not going to take your six-pack. You'll rot off the bone or turn to ash. Everything in the world of form does not go past the veil of the grave with you. However, the content of your character, the being you are being, you will take with you. And also the being you are being not only with others, but also with the self, the way you are being with yourself. How gentle are you being? How much are you laughing? How often do you turn the attention away from that which is causing depression? Heather has not watched the news for decades. I've never found it to offer me anything that serves as a point of inspiration for me to make any level of difference in the world. And so I can either go and actively make a difference, which Heather's done a ton through tons of volunteer work, which is another powerful way to come out of depression. Another thing my sister once said to me in a very depressed period, she said, "I say this with great gentleness to you, but depression is a very self-absorbed state. You're very inside yourself, drawn into yourself, in your temple, in your woes, thinking about the hardness of your life. And I believe that one of the ways we can come out of this depressive state is instead of digging in, we start to pull out, and we go make a difference in other people's lives. She was like, I highly recommend you volunteer, because what'll happen is once you volunteer and once you go out and make a difference, you will see that your life matters. You will see that you matter. You will see the difference you can make. So Heather Feather has worked with children and teenagers. I love kids. I love to serve them. I love to support them. I've worked with the environment. I've worked through fires and all different types of things that have happened with humanity. Heather often will step into volunteering and service acts and service works because it does feel amazing to share the light of my truth, which is love, you know. What a grace. What a grace to be able to offer that in that place, in this space of emptiness in which we are reflecting the allness. And what a tremendous thing to witness, to see that I can actively make a difference. What doesn't make a difference to somebody that often can struggle with, has had a dark life, and you know, I don't get to delete all the files. Those files can flush up. I don't need more darkness. Like, I've come to this conclusion. I listen to a lot of different music. I listen, you know, to punk and folk music and underground hip hop and different things. But a lot of those things can have very dark or negative lyrics. And I've come to this realization, I am not a trash can. I'm not a trash can. I don't hold waste for others. And I myself make waste. I make wasteful thoughts, wasteful, negative, dark thoughts that shake the web in ways that I don't want to create as a creative intelligence that's collapsing waves of probability. And so I started making this decision, and I'll come back to it. I can listen to, receive, or experience anything. I'm quite strong. If I've learned anything, it's that. Very strong character. And I am minding my mind. Not only do I not watch the news, but right now, any song that is somebody else's mind trash, that is something negative, that is something dark, that is something separatist, that is something judgmental, as soon as I hear it in the lyrics, delete. And Heather is only listening to things that contribute to the consciousness that I want to imbue in the hologram. And that includes not stewing in darkness, not stewing in other people's darkness. I'm not a trash can. I'm not here to hold your trash. I'm not here to hold the thoughts that you're working to illuminate in the light of truth of your eternality and the love that you be. I'm here to steward my truth, which is the cosmic joke. Hilarious all the time, if we but remember to laugh. You're eternal. So if you really consider your being eternal, which atoms cannot be created nor destroyed, you are made solely of atoms. So we can do the physical reality, eternality, or you can do the spiritual equivalent, which has been present in nearly every faith tradition I've ever touched. The spirit, the soul is eternal. So if you are eternal, what is this abject fear we're holding in the temple of destruction? What is it that we're serving down here? I am like a clown and want to serve the cosmic joke because I want to laugh all the way until I'm in the ground. Because that to me is a life worth living. And I'm stewarding this vessel and how it walks in this world. So might I remember that God is a fag. You know what I mean? God is all of the things. And you do you, boo-boo. God is whatever God is to you. I'm not here. I always say the character of Heather Feather is written. I don't need you to play my character. I don't need you to agree with me at all. This is this character talking to you from her perspective. And I love the character you're creating. And I love the diversity of life. I love the rich garden of creation. And I love that there are so many that I do not agree with, that I might be able to fully flush up and get clear in my temple the content of the character I'm going to carry through the portal called death. And I'm asking you today, is there any way in which you are allowing yourself to stew and chew on the rotten fruits of the darkness of depression and wanting to exit this plane? Now, it's important to know that you are at choice as far as where you point the mind. Heather was watching comedy last night. Heather watches a lot of comedians. Why? Because I am the steward of my mental health. And one of the greatest things I can shake in the web is more laughter. More laughter. You know what I mean? I want us all to lighten up a little bit. If we're eternal, maybe all the things that we're taking so serious and severely are not as big of an issue as we dare to dream. Perhaps there's a more creative way we might use our minds so that we can witness that which we truly want to see. You can always subscribe to Rare Bird Medicine on YouTube, like and comment there. I always love your thoughts. I'm